three, two, one, and what's going on, you guys? I'm the host, Rodolfo.
And my name is Eric, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Mindtality podcast. And for those of you that are just joining in this week, just want to reiterate the purpose of this podcast is to bring change into your life, regardless of your situation, with weekly uploads every Monday to start off your week with a positive mindset and a warrior mentality.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and break us open with an icebreaker. And today, we're going to open it up to kind of the topic, what has to do with like success stories. So I tried to create or think of a creative name for this, but it was kind of hard. So I'm just going to keep it as the traditional game, 2 truths and 1 lie. Okay, so Mr. Eric, um, I'm going to say 2 truths and 1 lie. And after I say these 2 truths and 1 lie, you have to figure out what are the 2 truths and what's the lie. Understood?
Yes.
All right, so let's see here. Post Malone once lived in a closet as a teenager. Both the creator of Apple, Steve Jobs, and the creator of Microsoft, Bill Gates, graduated from the same college. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson once had $7 to his name.
Interesting. Those are some interesting facts there, or whatever. I remember seeing on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Instagram him having a picture of $7. So I'm gonna say that one's true.
Okay.
Post Malone sleeping in the closet as a teenager. I don't know. Post Malone, he kind of came from rags to riches, so I could see that being a truth. And then you said Bill Gates and who else went to the same college?
Steve Jobs?
Steve Jobs. And you said they graduated?
Yeah, they graduated from the same college.
Okay, so that's where I think it's a lie, because I don't think they did graduate.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so 100%. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, so like you said, I likewise I did see The Rock post on his Instagram, kind of like he clarified like his success story, and it's very true that he did have $7 to his name. So he got a full ride scholarship out of high school to the University of Miami. He had some severe injuries that allowed them to pull their scholarship from him. He ended up signing with the Canadian Professional League team, and he didn't do good. He was hoping to get signed by the Canadian professional team and then transition into professional, like NFL, but that didn't happen. It got to the point where no money was coming in, to where he was at $7 only, and he realized some things needed to change.
Yeah.
Post Malone actually lived in a closet. He lived in Texas, went to community college after high school, failed miserably at college. He hated it. He didn't know what he was going to do with his life. One of his friends was actually like a YouTuber who wanted to move to LA, so he just kind of tagged along. And Post Malone was like so desperate just to leave Texas to do something different for a change, and said, "Hey, I'm willing to sleep in your closet." And so from like I want to say like 17-ish until like 19-ish, Post Malone was sleeping in the closet of his friend's house. That was when he started making music. And then lastly, like you said, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, neither of them graduated college. Yet all these 3 people, you guys, are success stories. Did you have anything to say, Eric?
Yeah, I remember actually hearing that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was homeless at one point. He didn't have anywhere to go, and I think somebody, I don't know who it was, but some random stranger had taken him into his home and provided for him when he didn't have anything. So, I mean, it's crazy to me. I remember reading somewhere as well that I think some successful people in today's generation, by the like age of 20 to 30, they were failing, but ended up making it out of it in the later time of their life. So it doesn't matter your situation at that time, there's always still going to be a a success story, but that kind of transitioned into our next topic, where we're going to talk about the definition of success and what that is. So, according to the book definition of success, it's the accomplishment of an aim or purpose, and the other definition is the good or bad outcome of an undertaking. So, Rodolfo, what is the first thing that comes to your head when you think of success?
Automatically off the top of my head is Abraham Lincoln. I remember in high school, one of my teachers had a poster of an Abraham Lincoln like diagram of kind of like a timeline, more like a timeline of Abraham Lincoln. On the left side, it had his failures, and on the right hand, it has his successes. And it just was from like 1830 something up into like the 1860s. And to me, I always looked about like how there was more failures than there was successes, but yet he's on the penny and yet he's on the $5 bill. And so I always think about success as not a title or a position or like this like possession, materialistic thing, but success as in being knocked down and getting right back up. And so to clarify a little bit more, excuse me, I wanted to just bring up a couple dates here. So in 1856, Lincoln was defeated for nomination as vice president. 2 years later, over 600 days later, again, he was defeated for the U.S. Senate position. And then from 56 to 60, so a total of 4 years later, he finally became president. And then I'll drop the link to this timeline that I found online, very similar to that poster that I grew up in high school looking at. I'll drop this in the description down below. But it starts in the 1830s all the way up until 1860 when he finally became president. There was more failures in Abraham Lincoln's lives than successes. But because he went through adversity, because he continued to push, and because he continued to climb, we acknowledge him and we know him as the one on the currency, you know. So that to me, Eric, that to me is the definition to success for sure. So is your definition similar to mine? If not, like, can you give us an example, something that we can use as reference?
Yeah, Rodolfo, it's fairly similar, and I believe the process in itself is success. I know failure oftentimes leads to success, and over time it will provide for you. But I also think that we often think if we don't achieve the goals that we set out for, then we're not successful. And let me give you an example of what I mean by that. Like I previously talked about this in another podcast, but the movie Rudy Rudiger, he was a um, person who wanted to play at the Notre Dame football team. His family didn't really have much. His family didn't go to college, but his goal was to be a starter for one of the best college football teams in the United States. So he worked for that goal, but he didn't achieve that goal. He never became a starter for the Notre Dame football team. He had one appearance as a defensive, I think it was a linebacker, and he didn't necessarily achieve his goal. But that doesn't mean he wasn't successful. He graduated from one of the best universities in the United States that that it could offer. He's going to leave that university with experience, with an education, with connections to everybody on that football team, and he has a success story. Whether or not he didn't achieve his goal of being the starting football player, he still had success in the process of trying to achieve that goal. He was also the first in his family to go to a university and graduate. So sometimes success isn't accomplishing the goals that we set out for, but rather the accomplishments that you achieve on the way to that goal. So that, to me, is my perception of success. And Rodolfo, how do you deal with adversity in the pursuit of success? Kind of similar to Rudy. How do you deal with it?
Okay, really quick. All right, so before I jump onto that, I just want to acknowledge how you said like Rudy, he's leaving with experience. Like that's so important. Like just because you don't hit all your marks or you don't hit everyone's expectations or even your personal expectations, there's always something to pull from every situation that you're brought through. So that's really important to understand, you guys. With success, there's always something. It doesn't matter what it is. There's always a level of success, even if it's just like I said, experience from what you just gone through, knowledge of what you just gone through, and that can only be earned, not given. But like you said, how I deal with adversity in the pursuit of success personally, um, I like to meditate. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't sit with my feet crossed and levitate in a dark room with like what are they called, fireflies flying around me or anything like that. But I do like to meditate in the car. Sometimes I just turn off the music and I just hear the sounds outside. I roll down my windows, just get some clarity. You know, sometimes I like to listen to music in the shower. Sometimes, like when I meditate, I don't. Sometimes I just like to hear my thoughts. I just like to be with myself. And the reason why is because I mentioned it, it's clarity. Like I want to find an answer. And sometimes when you're listening to music, sometimes when you're watching the latest TV show, the latest movie, or when you're on social media, you can't find that clarity. So for me is definitely meditation. I can also interpret it as like prayer. Sometimes I just need to go to that higher up, you know, and get some advice. But to really unpack that, it's believing in myself. It's believing in yourself, believing in your goals. I like to always, whenever I'm pursuing something and there's like friction, there's tension, I always like to ask myself, why? Why do I want to do this? You know, I always ask myself, since I was, you know, you guys, I started uploading YouTube since I was like 11, like 9 or 11 years old, 10, around there when I used to start skateboarding. That was when YouTube wasn't even really a thing. Like YouTube was just kind of there. And I don't even want to do the math. It was just probably like in '06, '07 when I was uploading videos on YouTube. And why? I just thought it would be cool to see a 10-year-old skateboard. And you guys, I kid you not, I would die to get those videos back. Those videos were deleted. I was embarrassed like in my teen years to watch myself skate at 9 years old. I would die. I would pay thousands of dollars to watch myself skateboard. But besides the point, off that rant, ask yourself why. So in today's time, why do I do a podcast? Because I want to motivate you guys. I want to encourage you guys. I want to help pull you guys through the situation that you're in. I want to give you guys things that I've gone through so you don't have to go through them. That's my why. That is why I do this. That's the first thing. Believing in yourself, asking yourself why. Why do you want to achieve that certain title at your job? Why do you want to achieve your college degree? Why do you want to, you know, XYZ, whatever it is, ask yourself why, and that starts becoming your motivating factor. The second thing is you have to have a heart to sacrifice and do what is necessary to achieve that goal. I can remember a lot of times in college not going to parties, not staying up late because I had to do essays and I had to do homework. I was willing to sacrifice because I understood that there was a goal that had to be met, and that goal can only be achieved by making certain moves to put me in position to succeed. So you have to have the heart to sacrifice. You know, at work, if you're trying to move up, there's going to be some OT days required. You know, there's going to be some days where you're going to have to come earlier than you want to, or you have to stay later than you want to. There's going to be days where you have to pick up the slack when one of your coworkers calls off and you have to step in. But that is the sacrifice that's required in order to pursue success. And the third and final thing for me on this point, on the whole believing in yourself idea, is you have to have an internal fire, an internal drive. A lot of times, guys, when you're making moves, and it's only your vision and no one's really supporting you, it's gonna seem dark. It's gonna be like a very cold night and the wind's blowing and you have like this little flame and you have to do everything you can to kind of cuff it, to keep it ignited. And you're responsible for that. No one's gonna do it for you. You have to believe in yourself and you have to keep that internal fire. You have to be able to take the criticism from people. Oh, you should stop doing that, your videos are no good, you should stop doing that, you're not getting good enough grades, or you're not that smart, or you're not capable of doing that. And you have to be able to block out that noise and let that internal fire do the talking for you. It's going to be difficult, you guys, and I would be lying to you if I would say it's plan A, plan B, plan C, and it's just connecting the dots. No, a lot of the times you're going to go off course. A lot of the times it's going to be like, okay, plan A. Okay, what's after plan A? Shoot, that was supposed to happen and it didn't happen. But it's that internal fire inside you that says, all right, it's time to improvise. All right, what's next? How can I make this move now? Like, I'm in this position. What can I do now to keep it going, because I'm not stopping? So what about you, Eric? How do you deal with adversity in the pursuit of success?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Rodolfo. Those are some wise words that you had just said. But as far as for me dealing with adversity personally, I like to go back to the basics. And what I mean by that is I cut out any distractions that I have that are currently going on in that time period that I'm struggling, or maybe I have something that I really need to focus on. I'll cut out distractions like social media, like Aaron or Rodolfo said about going out. And sometimes you got to sacrifice, cut out those distractions so you can focus on what's really important. Also, go with what's working before. And look at the last time that you were successful or doing well in life. What were you doing? Were you waking up at a certain time? Were you working out? You got to take these things into consideration of what were you doing previously that was doing so well, and go back to it. If you're in a rut, if you're going through adversity, go back to what was working for you, and then you can kind of start to go and steer off from there once you get comfortable and want to try and do some new things to help you be successful. But going back to the basics is what I've always known and been taught. And also during just emotionally through adversity, it's for me, it's prayer and surrender. Rodolfo, you had talked about music and meditation and some prayer as well. But I love prayer. Prayer can really get me back emotionally and stable. It helps me through some of those harder times when I just keep getting frustrated and knocked down. I just know that no matter what, things will work itself out, and through the power of God that we're going to get through this. And as far as how I view adversity, I think it's a really, really important point here, and I want to really kind of take the time to say this. Success is not considered success if it was not for adversity. I want you to really think about that. The reason why success is considered so highly is because it's difficult to achieve. It's hard to obtain. It wouldn't be worth it if it wasn't for adversity. So the next time that you are going through life and you're getting knocked down, or you're not getting that promotion you're not achieving the goal that you set out for, just remember that it's at the end, when you do achieve it, or you do come to some terms of success, it'll be worth it. It'll come out, and you'll be much more proud of your accomplishments because of the things that you went through. So that is a very it's how I view adversity. I think it's a very necessary part to success and the road to success. Rodolfo, did you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, so really quick before we close off, I remember in 2019 when I graduated community college, actually two of my closest friends that I grew up with, um, they had seen like how I was posting a lot of my graduation pictures from community college, you guys. on like social media, and I was just like tweeting very like motivational things, and um they were like very like rude, like, bruh, it's only community college, you know, kind of like that, like knocking down like the hype behind me graduating community college. And the worst part was they weren't even in college in the first place. And the second thing is just like, again, you guys, you got to believe in yourself. And so what I told them, I was like, look, the only way I can graduate a 4 year is through community college, you know. And to get to the top of the staircase, you gotta take a step on the very bottom step first, you know. To build a brick wall, you have to start with one brick. So with the success topic, there's going to be times, you guys, where it may be a small success, but it's success. Okay. And that's what we're trying to teach you guys today is success really can't be measured. It can only be measured personally. And you're only going to be as excited as the excitement you create, as weird as that sounds. And I think what's important is you have to create your own energy. You have to fan your own flames, and you have to be your number one supporter yourself. You know, you have to believe in yourself. You have to. So I just wanted to really emphasize that, like, make sure you guys give yourself credit for the little things that you do, because sometimes you're the only one that's gonna be giving yourself credit. So yeah, that's that for me on to end on that note there.
Also, I had my psychology professor here. She did this really interesting thing when she did something right, or when she considered something success. She had this jar that she would have, and every time that she did something good, she would take either a little cotton ball or whatever you might have it, and she would put it in the jar. And after it got full, she would treat herself with something. She would go buy something nice, um, go out for a nice dinner, whatever it is that you consider a reward. So if you guys want to try and start practicing or reiterating that in your life and try to understand what success is, you can get a little jar, a mason jar, and cotton balls, and every time that you do something successful or take a step towards the right direction, put one of those cotton balls in there and reward yourself when the jar gets full, just to kind of show you this is what I can achieve if I continue to put in one cotton ball a day or one step at a time, just in a small form of a greater picture of just trying to do little things to get the bigger prize. And that's going to conclude our part one of this series of what is success. And Rodolfo, can you close us out with some final thoughts and a quote?
Yes, sir. So you guys, the quote of the day is: the road to success and the road to failure are almost exactly the same. So do you want to kind of unpack that really quick, Eric?
Yeah, when I first heard this, I didn't understand it. I really didn't. And I think that's what's great about this podcast is I'm learning things just as you guys are learning things. And when I kind of really thought about this quote, um, it made a lot of sense, because failure in itself is success, because you are learning, which is the process in which you become successful. You're getting the experience, you're getting connections, you're getting education, you're doing, every time you fail, you learn from your mistakes. And by learning from your mistakes, you're learning to become successful in your life. And those are some deep, so it's a deep thought to go into. I mean, what does that quote mean to you, Rodolfo?
Yeah, so if you guys haven't already, if you go back to the connecting the pieces backwards, this is exactly what I'm talking about here. If you're not willing to make mistakes, you're not willing to succeed. You have to make mistakes if you really want to reach something. You know, I'm a little geek when it comes to like Star Wars. Yoda, everyone knows he's wise, like he says everything backwards. but that's because he's seen it happen before. He's made the mistakes himself. He's seen the mistakes of others, and he's just connected the pieces. Like he knows what works and what doesn't work. And so with this one here, it's very simple. You can't be successful without failure. If you go perfect in anything, what are you learning? Like there's nothing to learn because you've made like all the right moves. It's not until like you make that, like you have your first loss, where you can go back and analyze how you can be better, like what trick they can never pull on you again, so in other words, like someone who makes a lot of mistakes, they're very dangerous in life because they know what works and what doesn't work. So again, the road to success and failure, they're very similar. The only thing is that those who remain on the road to failure have yet to analyze where they went wrong and how they can improve.
So that is going to conclude this part 1 series. Please like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed this video. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. This is the Mindtality podcast, and my name is Eric.
Yeah, and my name is Rodolfo, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.